All right, I'm here with Randall Lyons of the Massachusetts Marine Trades Association. Randall, a whole lot going on in the marine trades these days, isn't there?
There certainly is.
Sure.
Thank you. Glad to be here, John.
Yeah,
Appreciate
great.
the invite as well, for sure.
It's always great to chat with you. Talk about the trades these days in the industry and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the industry is still kind of kicking off with a post-COVID rush. I think it's slowed down a little bit, but all things considered, the recreational boating industry continues to do well. Most of our member businesses in the area and on a national level continue to do well. Boat sales, which translates into service, and I know this focus here today is on the workforce front, so that's a key topic for sure for many of our member organizations, and making sure to find the appropriate staff to take care of your boats.
So what's great about working in the trades, in the marine trades?
Yeah, I can't say enough about that. I mean, I think that's always kind of one of the top things that I kind of echo when I'm talking to students or I'm talking to businesses. It's we have the opportunity to work with clients and guests that are doing a recreational activity that they love. So the vast majority of the time they're happy, and to put a price on that, it's kind of a difficult thing to do. When they're not happy, they're typically waiting for their boats. And that's where the workforce again kicks in, and finding the appropriate staffing levels to take care of the clients.
In the trades, let's talk about the high school component.
Sure.
You're doing a lot with high schools in Massachusetts, which is wonderful. I'm a vocational, technical high school guy. And now the shift over to marine trades, the high school level, is awesome.
Absolutely. We've been very fortunate to have some strong support from both the Baker administration and the Healy administration, focusing on vocational schools and training and recognizing the needs for those hands-on skill set students and employees. So from a vocational standpoint, using the two CAPE programs, Cape Cod Regional and Upper Cape Tech as examples. Those programs have been in existence for 20 plus years. They're a significant contributor to our businesses on the Cape and Islands. They're hiring many of their students, but those are kind of the frameworks for the new programs that have kicked off. And new programs include New Bedford Tech, right around the corner from here. And the great nice thing about New Bedford Tech, and I'm excited to say, is they are now on their 4th year of the day program. So this will be their first graduating class in the Marine Tech program. They're producing 15 students roughly on an annual basis that'll be graduating, and hopefully a good portion of them will be entering the industry, same as the Cape schools that have been doing it for years. But now we have New Bedford, and then a new program started at Whittier Tech on the North Shore in Haverhill, and they are in their 2nd year. So they're in their sophomore class, but kind of the same thing. It's building and increasing the pipeline that's going to eventually trickle down to our businesses and help the industry in general.
So a student comes into a high school program. What can they expect to take away from that program?
Sure. So the freshman year of that program, that's like kind of an exploratory program. So they're picking and designing their different programs. So when we looked at New Bedford and Whittier, one of the first things is to attract the students and to draw them in. And I think that's where the excitement of the industry kicks in. Then they start their training when they're in their sophomore year. They'll do ABYC training. They'll do whatever manufacturers the programs may be working with, Mercury, Honda, Yamaha definitely being a key one from a training standpoint. They'll get their OSHA 10 certificate. Some of the programs will get them out on the water. They'll do training on the water and kind of seeing the hands-on experience there. And then in their junior and mostly senior years, they'll hopefully have a co-op opportunity to get out there and work with one of the area businesses to get that hands-on experience, which is certainly a critical part of the schooling and training at the high school level.
Yeah, co-op at the high school vocational level is amazing.
Absolutely.
They do great work, and they get in and see how it really comes together for them as a trade. Now, you talked about some of the manufacturers being involved in that. How does that, tell me more about that.
So depending on the school and what programs they're directly working with, the two biggest ones are Yamaha and Mercury for sure. And if you look at the kind of overall volume, they're about 80% of the total outboard sales or in industry sales. So on that front, they partner with the schools. They'll offer some of their training programs. Some of them have online certificate programs, and those transfer with the student. So if they're graduating, they start in the business and they work for a dealer that sells Yamaha, Mercury, they'll have those certificates already on their resume, and they'll hopefully continue to grow. And that's the key. If you continue to work and grow with a dealer and a business that's sending their employees for training, your growth is going to continue, your salary is going to continue, and that's the other side of it. It's a livable wage within our industry for sure, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, so I'm not a high school kid. I've got a couple of years in, let's say, and I want to switch careers.
Sure.
What's the best way to handle that?
So there's a couple different evening programs that I would probably recommend, certificate programs, and that's one thing, working both with Yamaha and Mercury. We have certificate programs at a couple different schools that are offering them right now. Cape Cod Community College is offering a Yamaha certificate program. Worcester Tech is about to start another Yamaha program in January. Bunker Hill has a Mercury program. So there's just some opportunities in there, typically done at night. They're typically a 100-hour certificate program. Kind of get your hands into the industry. You get a certificate at the end of it. And if you've got that skill set, that knowledge right off the bat, that's a good way to kind of kickstart, and you go apply for a business and you show that certificate. Hopefully it'll get you in the door.
That's a more than valuable
absolutely.
certification. I mean, that's gold.
It is, absolutely. It's definitely a good training opportunity for sure. There's some funding available. I know the Mass Reconnect is another option right now. We're going to be talking about that at our conference, just to kind of offer that free community college program for over 25. Certificates are going to be included on that. So for job changers, I like that opportunity for sure as well. I think that's a good way to make that change.
Talk about that again. Mass Connect?
Yes, sir. So Mass Reconnect is a new state program just introduced by the Healy administration, focusing on those over 25 and giving them the opportunity to attend a community college in the state for free. Certificate programs are eligible for that as well. I don't know all of the requirements for it, but it is an exciting opportunity, especially for those people that may have started on the college track, gotten some credits, but didn't quite finish. So now to encourage them to go back, to encourage somebody as a job seeker to take a certificate program and have the opportunity to do it maybe while they're transitioning in a job front. I think it's a pretty cool opportunity, and I think our industry will capitalize and benefit from this program as well.
Folks can get more information on that where?
Folks can get more information on that at the Mass Labor and Workforce page, Mass State Hire boards. That's I would probably recommend that as a regional avenue. Reach out to your local Mass Hire board, reach out to your community college. I know the community colleges have certainly seen a very significant uptick in their students, which is great. And that's kind of the goal for sure.
So with the craziness that came out of COVID and voting, so many folks I talked to in the industry are like, we thought COVID was going to kill voting. And it's one of the very few positives that came from COVID was the boating industry is just flourishing. And to support that, we need folks in the trades. Talk about the different kinds of positions.
Sure. I mean, you talk about the industry in general increasing for sure. I think one of the things in Massachusetts and that's also happening on a national level is there's new offices of outdoor recreation that are being created and opening. And Massachusetts just opened one. The economic impact of outdoor recreation has been close to 2% of the GDP. It's a significant impact here in the state. I'm bringing that up because at the end of the day, if you look at those type of positions and those type of jobs and the opportunities that are available, a lot of them are the hands-on skill set. Within the industry, marine mechanics and technicians and service department representatives are definitely the biggest on-demand field and openings. So, but the way I look at it, if you have those hands-on skills and you're a young person, you like to work with your hands, you like to tinker with engines, that's where I see the fit, because at the end of the day you can be trained to continue on in that pursuit, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you're doing.
You know, in doing the trade special, in talking to some of the employers, in doing the trade special, when I was talking to some of the employees, they talked so much, and the associates talked so much about furthering your education once they got in. So once they got the certification and got in the door, there was so much else that was offered by the employers and by these organizations.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the other key. I mean, it's continuing the pursuit of training and continuing the growth within the industry, and businesses and manufacturers, especially the good ones right now, they know that that's a critical element of retaining staff, but also bringing in new staff with the understanding that you're focused on the future.
Yeah, one of the guys was so excited because he was heading off to his V10, his Mercury V10 training, and you would have thought this guy was going to a pre-med, but I'll tell you what, in the end, he might be making as much as a physician celebration.
Yeah,
next when he
absolutely.
gets that
Yeah.
certification.
Yeah, and to give them that opportunity to get out and
Sure.
see different parts of the country from a training standpoint. Some of the manufacturers are out of state. I think it's another cool opportunity for employees as well. But again, continuing that education and growth is key.
So then there's the foundation.
Yeah.
Right, talk a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a trustee with the Mass Marine Trades Educational Trust, which is chaired by Ed Lofgren from 3A Marine,
We
and
love Ed.
industry icon
Ed's
from
the
the
best.
educational
He
standpoint, for
certainly
sure.
is.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the Educational Trust supports kind of the efforts and avenues of the association, with the key element being the educational side. So through that Educational Trust, we do offer scholarships for those entering the industry and furthering their career from a training standpoint, which is a key offering there. We created a job and career site for our members, so you can post their jobs for complimentary. We've got all of our school information up there. We've got kind of the boating industry 101 to give somebody who's looking to learn a little bit more information there as well. And then we also do grants for kids in boating. So we focus on supporting nonprofit youth boating programs around the state. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but being able to support those organizations that focus on getting kids on the water, kids fishing, and giving them the opportunity that they may not normally have is definitely a key element of what our Educational Trust does as well.
So what do you do in your spare time?
What do I do in my spare time? I'm a family man. I got 2 great kids, wonderful wife and a dog, and I love to spend time with my family and travel when and where I can, and get on the water as well, for sure.
Yeah, the association does wonderful work. And certainly, we've got a lot of tools in the arsenal. And talk about tools. You also provide tools for new members, of folks who are new into the business.
We do. That's a key element of one of our membership benefits, and again, working with the state, we're fortunate to be able to offer some training funds for businesses sending their employees out for training, but also our Tools of the Trade program has been a very successful offering. So if somebody's a new employee working for one of our member businesses, they're able to apply for, again, there's a Tools of the Trade grant, and it's a way to encourage them as they start off. They're building their own tool boxes, and we give them a gift card to Snap-on typically, and it's kind of a start to, hey, we want you to
Snap-on.
stay. Welcome. Snap-on's a huge
Not a
business
Harbor
that's
Freight
selling.
kind of thing you're giving away here, right? Nothing against Harbor Freight. You love Harbor
Yeah.
Freight.
We've
but-
worked with Harbor Freight as well.
Yeah.
We just have done Snap-on recently, so both organizations for sure.
Yeah, with a good, as we all know, a good wrench turner is all about his tools, right?
Yes,
In-
agreed.
In this industry, don't touch my tools.
Yeah,
I need my
absolutely.
tools. So, what else do you want to chat about?
I think just kind of some opportunities that we do an educational conference. That's one of our
coming up, right?
premier event. It is coming up for sure.
And every year it's around.
It's in the January
January.
timeframe, typically January, February, and sometimes it coordinates. We coordinate with the boat show, depending on the dates of that as well. But our educational conference, it takes place in Foxborough. It's typically attended by about 150 to 200 industry leaders. We do a workforce element. We do a legal element. We're going to do a discussion on kind of the industry trends, sales, inventory, employment law, all different avenues. Succession planning is one of the big topics for our member businesses, especially as they look to figure out what their next steps are. But we're excited. It's a really cool event. It draws a significant amount of people. The night before, we're having some events at Patriot Place, which
we
is where we
bowling
focus.
again?
That we're doing axe throwing this year.
We're doing axe throwing.
Yes,
All right.
so
Well,
new business that opened up for sure. So we're
And I
excited for that
just-
as well.
I just firmed up my bowling skills.
Oh,
I've got to ace it this year, and now you're going to throw axes.
Could go afterwards, I'm
No,
sure.
it's always a great event. The conference is amazing, and it certainly is a who's who of New England boaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And further out, obviously, which I want to talk a little bit about that. So I was talking to Ed, obviously, about the organization.
Sure.
And he's just a great wealth of knowledge. And he said, Randall's out there in Washington, too. He's doing a lot of work. He's not just about Massachusetts. Tell me about that on a national level, how the Massachusetts Marine Trades Association sort of weighs in
Sure.
nationally, and on some of the topics that you've addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the convenient factors is that I'm a state association, but there are other state associations all around the country, and I do work very closely with those state associations and federal associations, national associations. National Marine Manufacturers Association, who is the owner of the New England Boat Show. Each year they put on a what's called American Boating Congress, and it provides an opportunity for businesses and associations to come together in DC, and they have a day on the Hill. So we'll go and NMMA will coordinate different meetings and events with state officials and state representatives. Workforce is always a topic of conversation when we're meeting with state officials. Infrastructure, dredging, NOAA speed restriction is one of the topics right now that's been on the forefront for sure. Just various topics that not only affect our state but also on a national level are always key.
Well, you touched on it there. How's that going? Last time we spoke, you were just sort of getting introduced into legislation on and getting familiar with the NOAA speed regulations. Where does that stand?
It's still
that impacts a lot of folks.
It's still ongoing for sure. I think the latest announcement that there was supposed to be a decision by the end of this year. I think it's been delayed till the beginning of the year. At the end of the day, I mean, our industry is extremely involved. We want to be extremely involved. I think when the bill was drafted, we were left out, and that was an issue. So now, as our industry comes together, as we work with national officials, we're trying to get a seat at the table to work more with NOAA. We don't want to work against them, but we do want to come up with a better system, a better technologically advanced regulation to focus on this rule, to track the whales, to do a better job of working together, not separately, to come up with an appropriate solution rather than just putting out a blank law or bill, whatever it may be, that we just don't think is a practical solution to this. I say non-existent issue, but that's kind of how I look at it for the 35 to 64 foot range boats where there hasn't been the data that they're trying to present. So I think that's where it's kind of figuring out a way to work more on a technological solution.
Yeah, the delay is always good.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good.
Breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Weigh it all in, right? Try to assess it. Talk to some of the folks that it impacts, which is always important, and then make the call. So you're deep into that stuff.
We are definitely. I think one of the Senator Manchin, who just announced he's leaving, he was a key proponent of this and working with our industry to try to come up with another solution. We're hoping I know there's a co-sponsor on that bill from the House side on a national level, and we have their support, and we're hoping that will continue to come up with a better bill. It's in the works. I think it's just a matter of continuing to push, making sure that people are bringing their economic impact stories forward. Yeah. The safety concern is a big concern for boaters. I mean, that's a huge one. If you're required to go 10 knots out in the open ocean, it's not safe, and we've got some big issues with that, and I think those need to be brought up.
Thanks for staying on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly, it's important that we have advocates like yourself,
yes, sir,
the association in DC, and I would imagine most of the associations nationwide are behind sort of an adaptation to that.
They are, and I think one of the issues I think is kind of the false narrative that we're not environmental stewards. Right. At the end of the day, we are. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. It's not that we're against protecting whales. Everybody's against protecting whales. Yeah. Whales are unbelievable creatures. People like to look at them from their boats. Nobody wants to hit a whale. We want to protect them. We just want to come up with a better practical solution.
Yeah, and that's been tying as of late into the turbine discussion and argument, the whales. So we all want to do whatever we can do to find a balance between renewables, the environment, and safe boating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only safe boating, I mean, recreational boating. Yeah. We want folks to be out there on the water having fun and enjoying it.
Yeah. So I gotta take the moment here. You brought up recreational boating and safe boating. One of the things we are extremely proud of working on right now is the safe boating law in Massachusetts. So originally the bill was called the David Hansen Safe Boating Act. We are working with the Representative Lenatra out of the Plymouth area to rename it the Hansen-Malone Act in honor of Paul Malone, who was the late harbor master out of Weymouth. The original bill was named after a gentleman by the name of David Hansen from Kingston, who passed away back in 2010. This has been on the books for about 10 plus years. There's no current bill for that 18 plus, 16 plus range. We're working to come up with a practical bill to make boating safer in Massachusetts, to make a requirement to have to take some sort of a course. I think it's the statistic is 75% of accidents the Coast Guard presented are individuals that don't have current safe boating laws. Safe boating training, excuse me. So this bill, which we're hoping to get passed in this legislative session, will hopefully help boaters in Massachusetts create a better, safer environment. It's a practical bill. We are for it. We are working to get this passed currently, and it's an exciting opportunity. The more comfortable and safe somebody is on the water, the better off it is for everybody. So, Hansen-Malone Act, and we're hoping to get that passed in the current legislative session.
So will that sort of be a license?
It will, correct.
You'll have a license, and tell me again.
Yeah.
the stipulations
So
are?
right now, we're the only state in New England that does not have a safe boating requirement. So
And
this.
any boater knows that we could certainly use it.
Yeah, absolutely. This new law will require individuals under a certain age, so they're trying to iron out the threshold. We're pushing for 1989 or after. So roughly that 35 threshold to kick off, depending on when the bill goes into effect. We're working with the environmental police just to make sure that we're in collaboration with them. We're working with the representatives. So the bill would require an online test. They'll take a course. It will allow them to do the course online. They'll get their license. That was one of the big things is kind of post-COVID, especially to try to maximize the amount of people that will take this course is the allowance of the online. So right now, as an example, boated.com offers the courses. You can get a license. I've got a license now that you can use in reciprocal at different states and things like that. So be happy to talk a little bit further on that once we know more information and the new language comes out. But I testified recently on the
What's
House and
timetable on
Senate.
that? What are we looking at?
It's in legislative session right now. On the House,
That can move.
yeah, 10 years. It's been floating
So
around.
who would be
So
opposed to that? Like, it's in session right now.
it's tough to say. I think it's some of the tweaks that have occurred, and especially Maine just passed their bill in August. So kind of being the last state now, I think that's where it is making those next steps.
Typically what they do is they try to tie other things to it like that. So that's what you have to keep an eye on,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Yeah. So it's in the transportation in the committee in the House. Chairman Bill Strauss, who's in this area, is the chair of that. So we're hoping it moves positively out of there and then goes to the Ways and Means, and I think that's where you'll hear a little bit more about it and all different groups that.
It's always been wild to me that,
Yeah.
it's always been amazing to me that a 16-year-old could get behind the controls of a boat that'll do 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
go fast
Yeah.
boat, and just take it for a run, you know?
Absolutely,
It's, we need some kind of
Yeah,
legislation.
and this-
I'm
and
not
this is
a
a
big,
good-
nor are you a big legislation guy.
Yeah,
You know, nobody wants more licenses, but
Yeah.
I think in this case, we could use it.
Agreed, and I think that was the key for having the online option. I mean,
Right.
absolutely, we encourage on-the-water training, and I think that's the next step. But I think starting off on an online course and just getting people more knowledge about information that they can learn at their own desktop is key. So I think that's helpful.
And I think folks just need a way. You know,
Yeah.
they don't know. They buy the boat, they go out there, and so many times you see somebody right down to trying to get a boat on a trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and you're like, wait, it did.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
You know, so that's great.
Yeah.
What else you have going on?
So we represent ultimately the business of boating in Massachusetts, and our advocacy efforts are certainly a top priority. We do have a legislative and government relations representative that we work very closely with, and that's kind of a key attribute of that side. The workforce element, working with schools, and I'm on a few advisory boards for the schools, connecting those students with our member businesses, our educational conference, our training funds, our tools of the trade. Those are kind of some of the membership benefits, but it's all put together into a package. And our goal is to support their businesses. Our tagline is industry growth through collaboration, communication, and education, and that's the key. I mean, we're all in this together. We want our businesses and the members to do well. We want our boaters that the businesses work with to be safe and enjoy what they're doing and maximize their time on the water. We are in a tough climate, New England. We don't market it and advertise it. So the more that they can use their boat, the better off it is for everybody. And we want the boats to travel around. We want them to see different coastal communities, especially here in Massachusetts. They're out there. They're spending money on fuel, shopping, restaurants, lodging, and that's good for the economy. That's good for Massachusetts. So that certainly is a big push, and we have some programs to focus on that as well.
So how do I find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So two different ways. Our main website is a simple one, boatma.com. So we encourage you to go there to learn more about association, especially from a business side. We have tie charts on there. That's a big reason people go there all the time.
No, I find that to not really be just a business-to-business site. It's a great tool for any boater.
Yeah, we've tried to continue to add it, and that's where we kind of work with some of our national partnerships. We've got boating calculators on there. We've got the dealership listings in the area. We have all of our members listed there, so it is definitely a great site and great tool across the board. And then on the jobs and workforce front, one of our biggest focuses working with the state is to promote our website, massboatingcareers.com. Again, massboatingcareers.com, jobs, careers, school information, scholarship information. There's a plethora of information on that site as well.
Touch a little bit more on the scholarship program.
Sure. Yep. So we have a scholarship program through our educational trust. The information is on there. Typically, it's funding up to about $1,000, maybe $1,500, depending on the program and availability. It does change year to year in terms of what we have for funding. But at the end of the day, if it's a Massachusetts resident who is interested in furthering their career at an approved college that focuses on the marine training, they're eligible for a scholarship. We encourage them to apply, and if we have the funds, we're typically not going to say no. So that's kind of how I look at it and how it goes. We do work with the schools to try to increase their funding. We sometimes work with the school to offer a scholarship on our behalf for a Mass resident. So there are a few different opportunities, and that's kind of always my focus, is we do not want anybody to move away from the industry or training because of funding. I think there are opportunities working with businesses to encourage them and to help defray the costs as well.
Great work.
So, thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
To find out more about exciting career opportunities in the marine trades and the MMTA, visit driftsociably.com and on social media @driftsociably.